With WrestleMania Backlash less than 2 weeks away on May 16th, WWE still has a lot of work to do to fill up the card. This week's show was all about championships. After saying he could beat Drew McIntyre or Braun Strowman in a singles bout, WWE Champion Bobby Lashley was given a chance to prove he could back up that statement. The tag team division was also spotlighted on Monday, when AJ Styles and Omos returned for the first time since winning the Raw Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania to defend the titles against the New Day in a return match. We also saw Nia Jax and Shayna Basler defend the Women's Tag Team Championship against Lana and Naomi. Let's take a look at everything that happened on tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by the Phenom, Michael Bullock, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. I'm afraid I got a little bad news. Good old MF, Michael Fletcher, will not be with us this evening. Not sure if it's work commitments or if he's ill, but he has assured us that he'll be back with us on Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem over on his channel, Brace Fan 95. That's a huge show there. But for right now, let's get into this edition of Monday Night Raw, the penultimate edition of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania Backlash. And we started it off with the returning Raw Tag Team Champions, the phenomenal AJ Styles and Omos. First time we've seen them since they won the titles at WrestleMania. A lot of speculation as to why they had been not on the show all this time. A lot of people were saying it was maybe one or both of them tested positive for COVID, perhaps. That's very possible. Maybe there was an undisclosed injury. We don't know. But nonetheless, they were back, and they defended against the New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. That's who they beat for the titles at WrestleMania. Winners of the match in 11 minutes and 40 seconds, and still the Raw Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Omos. The opening promo from Styles and Omos was a generic heel celebration. Styles has great delivery and instincts, but he wasn't given much to work with here. Omos stayed mostly silent until he threatened Woods and Kingston, so there isn't much to critique. He didn't look completely comfortable on the mic, but still said what he needed to say. This wasn't much different from what we saw at WrestleMania, but they made it just different enough to keep it from feeling like they just did the exact same thing again. It was fun, especially when Omos came in and wrecked the New Day by himself. Xavier Woods, AJ Styles, and Kofi Kingston are all top-tier performers. Omos is still learning, but his presence in the ring is undeniable. If he can keep improving, he will have a long career in WWE for sure. I will give this about 3 to 3.25 stars. One of the fights of the night for sure. So, not much more to say. Phenom, Michael Bullock, come on in. Well, just like we saw at WrestleMania, same exact outcome, but only this time with AJ and Omos going over, the champions stay the champions. Bullock, it's yours. Bullock, are you there? I guess Bullock's not here. So, Didi Woodson, why don't you take this one for a spin here? 3 to 3.25.
Yeah, I can agree with the rating. 3 3/4 stars. It was a fairly good opening promo. Not surprised, Omos is not that good on the mic. He hasn't really had that chance to, work on that skill yet. So we're finally getting to that point where they're letting him speak and everything. And they finally acknowledged that he was from Raw Underground. So that was kind of cool that they finally acknowledged that, because up to this point they hadn't even acknowledged it. The match, it was pretty good. So I would say it would be one of the matches of the night. So unless Bullock's back, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Bullock, man. Hopefully he'll be back with us soon enough. Hold on here. A little slow loading here. All right. And then, well, one of the interesting stories of the night, Eva Marie is on her way back to the WWE. She did this very sexy promo, to say the very least, and the evolution is coming. So, so Didi Woodson, do you have a quick thought on this? I mean, Eva Marie on her way back, and it looks like she's going to be on Monday Night Raw.
I hope she's learned how to wrestle, because the last scene she had in here, she did nothing. So she tried to find every way she could to get out of the match. So I'm hoping that we've got someone here that knows what they're doing now, and not just trying to be there to be a pretty face, or continue the old school diva thing where they were just there's eye candy. So I'm hoping we get something better this time.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, because I wasn't impressed.
Who was?
Probably all the horny little teenage boys.
Absolutely.
Or the ones living in their parents' basement.
Yes, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. We don't know when this is going to be coming, but soon enough, Eva Marie will be back in a WWE ring, and apparently it'll be on Monday Night Raw. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So with that being said, just give me a quick moment here. All right. Alrighty. So all right, while we wait for that, let's get into what we had next. We had Charlotte Flair squaring off against Dana Brooke. Charlotte Flair won the match in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. But wait, there was more. Sonya Deville comes out, and she said that Charlotte has a proposal. And Charlotte was basically saying, I should be added to the match at WrestleMania Backlash. As it was announced earlier tonight that it would be a WrestleMania return match with Rhea Ripley and Asuka one-on-one. But Charlotte wanted the to be added. Sonya Deville agreed, and Sonya Deville made it happen. So it is official. At WrestleMania Backlash, it will be Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair in a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship. Using the old Be Fair to Flair there. So, but Deville said Flair made a compelling argument, and she added her to the match. So, the match between Charlotte and Brooke was short and mostly uneventful. It was fine, but nobody's going to call it a masterpiece. About 1.5 to 2 stars there. The segment that came after gave us a good idea of what is happening with Sonya Deville. She is clearly trying to grab power, and so far it looks like it's working. Charlotte wanting a shot at the title was predictable, but that isn't always a bad thing when it makes sense for the character. The Queen is always focused on the belt. Why would now be any different? Match was mediocre at best, and the exchange was overly scripted, but at least it progressed the story. So that's all there is to say on that. So with that, if unless Bullock is back in, Didi Woodson, I'm just gonna give this to you. Charlotte beats Dana Brooke second, and now surprise, Charlotte gets added. Another surprise.
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, they're throwing around Charlotte because of her last name, her star power that she's got. Trying to use her to build up more viewership, more ratings. So I'm not entirely surprised about that. But also at the same time, trying to enhance the fact that Sonya Deville is either trying to take over Adam Pearce's job or something. I mean, they should be on level ground, same page, or let him handle the men and let her handle the women, and then we won't have this issue. They need to figure out what they're going to do with this storyline, because right now it's kind of out there somewhere. So yeah, they need to really straighten things out. I'll agree with you on the rating there, but the promo, to me, I wasn't real crazy about it, but that's, like I said, it wasn't much of a surprise that they were going to go this route because of who it was that they were having to add. So it's yours.
Yeah. And Michael Bullock and I had our Raw chat this evening, and you saw it in the messenger. Bullock was not happy about this at all, and went as far to call Charlotte Flair a politician. And you can certainly make an argument for that. I mean, she definitely is a politician. I mean, Hulk Hogan and Bill Goldberg, two of the most notorious politicians in the wrestling business over the years. But Charlotte is right up there. There is no question about that. So, but nonetheless, at least this didn't happen at WrestleMania. At least they gave us Asuka and Rhea one-on-one at WrestleMania, and they didn't have Charlotte ruin that. Thank goodness. But who knows? This could be a really good match. I mean, all three can work. They can bring it, and I have a good feeling about this match, and hopefully I'm right about that. So that's all there is to say there. Then from there, we had The Miz and John Morrison, another one of their meh promos, interrupted by Damien Priest, and it led into the match. Damien Priest against John Morrison, and Damien Priest wins the match in 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Didi Woodson, it's because The Miz cost his partner the match by distracting the referee while Morrison had a small package.
Yep. I think there's a dissension between Miz and Morrison starting here. But at the same time, I'm not entirely surprised that Priest won, even if it was because Miz cost his buddy the match. I mean, Priest right now, he's high on the totem pole. He's very well liked by, not just the universe, but it seems like he's well liked by, WWE, because they really seem to be starting to push him in giving him all these matches. Right now they're mainly between Miz and Morrison, but still he's there every week, and they're pushing these matches every week, and the storyline is progressing with it. So as for a rating, maybe 2.5 stars, but I'm not entirely surprised at the outcome, even if Miz was part of the distraction that cost his buddy the match. So it's yours.
2.5 stars for me. This feud has been dragging on for too long, but this was a fun match between two guys who each bring something different to the table. Morrison has been sorely underused in recent months, so it was nice to see him get a chance to shine, even if he ended up losing. This feud probably won't be over until WrestleMania Backlash. All we can do now is hope that Damien Priest's next storyline has more for him than this one does. No doubt about that. So, and then from there, we had a backstage moment. Adam Pearce with the newest signing to Monday Night Raw, and this is one I am very high on, Mansoor. You remember Mansoor? He wrestled in Saudi Arabia during a couple of the Saudi Arabia shows. Holds a victory over Cesaro on one of those shows. I also recall him winning a Battle Royal on one of those shows. And he also had some solid matches over on 205 Live. And they were then interrupted by Sheamus, and Sheamus issued a challenge to him for a match. And wow, first night on the job, you're going up against the United States heavyweight champion.
And I think he was also undefeated on main event.
Yes, he had some good matches on. He also had a great showing on main event as well. Yes, you're right, Didi, absolutely. But I don't really follow main event, to be honest with you. But
the only reason I did is because when I was doing Thunderdome, which I've had since they've changed the whole system, I've had a hard time getting in. Before Raw, you get to watch the taping of main event.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped me follow main event for a little while. But yeah, he, from what I understand, from the last one I watched, he was undefeated in main event. So yeah, he had a very big following over there and pretty much slaughtered anybody he was against.
Ah, okay. So glad you're with us tonight, Didi. I'm glad you let me know that. So yeah. Yeah, it's well documented about Didi in the Thunderdome. I mean, she's gotten in there more than any of us. So they do tape main event beforehand, and yeah, he had some great showings over there. But I best remember him from those two huge wins he had over on those Saudi Arabia shows. The one over Cesaro and the other in that Battle Royal, and then from there, of course, some solid matches over on 205 Live. So, but that is a steal for Monday Night Raw. I mean, that young man's got a future. Let me tell you. Tag team action: Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik against Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik, they win the match. I don't have a time of the fall, unfortunately, but what happened after the match, though? Cedric Alexander cuts a very scathing promo on Shelton Benjamin, and he says, "I'm done." So Cedric and Shelton are no longer. I mean, what a difference a few months makes. I mean, they were once the Raw Tag Team Champions. They were with the Hurt Business. They were with Bobby Lashley and MVP. They were running roughshod over Monday Night Raw for a long time, and then the champ kicked them to the curb, and now they're no more. So, I mean, the match only had a couple of minutes on TV. It started during the break and had no stakes. The action was good, but there wasn't enough of it. While WWE gave us very little reason to care about this, the post-match speech from Alexander was great. The passion he showed when he spoke was off the charts. When Alexander is given an opportunity, he always seizes it. Unfortunately, this means Raw's already thin tag team division just lost one of its best duos, and WWE making a lot of questionable decisions as of late. So I would probably give this about 2 to 2.5 for the effort. So really all there is to say there. Then we had Angel Garza against Drew Gulock. Angel Garza wins the match 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This was a dud. But actually, no. Actually, I'm going to give it about 1 to 1.5 for the effort. This is what we should be seeing more often. WWE has so many talented guys who can just go out and have a good match without any need for a big feud behind it. But unfortunately, WWE did not give them enough time to make this anything more than a quick exhibition. The victory made Garza look good, but he would have looked even better if this had been a more competitive exchange. If management makes this a feud, they should have another chance to show off next week. So I'm going to give it 1 star for the effort. So not much more to say there. Then we had Randy Orton and Riddle squaring off against Jackson Riker and Elias. Randy Orton and Riddle, they win the match 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's see. This pairing of Riddle and Orton is what will make a lot of Riddle's haters like them. They have too much chemistry not to enjoy what they are doing. This was another quick 1-segment match, but it felt more substantial than some of the other bouts from tonight's show. Both teams looked solid, but RK Bro has the momentum. And considering that we lost Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin as a team, it would be good if WWE kept Riddle and Orton together for a little while to help the division. Maybe even go after AJ Styles and Omos for the tag team championship down the road. Wouldn't you agree, Didi Woodson, as I give it to you? 2.5 stars.
Definitely 2.5 stars. And yeah, these two have become a great tag team. I'm really surprised that since their styles are so different, and I think they made a good analogy tonight. You know, you've got uh, this, the snake, the viper, and then I can't remember what they called Riddle, but two completely different entities right here, and they're working so well off of each other. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, they could. I could definitely see them possibly going for a title bout. So yeah, you know, if you're going to destroy tag teams, at least make sure you replace them with at least a pairing that can work off of each other. And these guys definitely work very well off of each other. And they're hilarious when Orton's trying to get Riddle to shut up. So yeah, so what's yours?
Yeah. And I truly believe if they decide to keep this thing going, I could easily see these two dethroning AJ Styles and Omos for the tag team titles. I could easily see it, no doubt about it. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's see. Then from there, Sheamus versus Mansoor. Sheamus wins by disqualification in 4 minutes and 25 seconds because of Humberto Carrillo showing up and getting involved. So that ends in a disqualification. So with that being said, Didi Woodson, how did you think Mansoor fared in his first match? I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did. He looked very well on his first night out. So I'm not crazy about how it ended, but at the same time, you look back and basically he was coming out to get revenge for something that had happened earlier in the night backstage. So yeah, like I said, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. Very, very well done for Mansoor. But if I give it a rating, it would have to be maybe 1 or 2 though, because of the finish really just kind of shot it to heck. So what's yours?
Yeah, agreed. 2 stars for the effort. This was a huge opportunity for Mansoor. He has been on a long winning streak on NXT and 205 Live. So seeing him brought to the main roster and put right into a match with Sheamus indicates WWE management sees something in him, as do I. Mansoor and Sheamus had a competitive fight that left the Irishman with a bloody forehead. Had there been a live crowd, it would have been into this match from the start. However, Carrillo technically caused the disqualification. So does this mean Mansoor's winning streak is over? I think it kind of does. But a good solid 2 to 2.5 star match, no question about that. And then we had the women's tag team title matchup, Nia Jax and Shayna. Well, before that, we had another Alexa Bliss, Alexa Playground moment. I mean, Bullock always tells me how much he gets creeped out by Alexa's eyes there, but that's become one of our new running gags during our Raw chat. But yeah, I mean, it's more the same for her. And then it led into the women's tag team title matchup. Nia Jax, Shayna Basler defending against Naomi and Lana. Winners of the match in an even 2 minutes. And still the women's tag team champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. Yeah, this was the worst fight of the night. This was a dud. The way the match started was promising. They were moving quick and hitting big moves. 2 minutes later, the match was over. WWE's women's division has had a lot of ups and downs recently, and matches like this do not help anyone. Even the champions gained nothing from this win because Naomi and Lana never seemed like a legitimate threat to their reign as champions. Do better, WWE. absolute dud. This was without a doubt, the worst fight of the night. I mean, it started with promise, and then they pulled the rug out from under us just like that. And man, felt more like a ho-hum diva fight, if I'm going to be honest with you. So we're just going to leave it at that. And then the main event of the evening, non-title match, WWE Champion Bobby Lashley defending or I should say, squaring off against Braun Strowman. Winner of the match in 13 minutes and 50. Champion, the almighty Bobby Lashley. Without a doubt, this was the fight of the night. 3 1/4, 3.5 stars. No, I'll actually give this 3.5 stars. I mean, Lashley and Strowman have always been good together. This match was a tough fight that made both men look like monsters in the ring. Drew McIntyre's involvement was predictable, but it protected Strowman from losing clean. As much as we hate how often WWE does stuff like this, it made sense in this instance. And that's all there is to say on that. So 3.5 stars for me. This was the fight of the night. Didi Woodson, I'm sure you'll concur with that.
Yeah, definitely 3.5 stars. I mean, this was a great match between the two big guys. Yeah, Drew coming out progresses the story leading up to the pay-per-view of the triple threat. But yeah, it was very well done. And I'm not surprised that Drew got involved there at the end and gave both of them the Claymore. Because like I said, you're leading up to the pay-per-view. You have to do whatever you have to do to get that story over, and I believe they did it tonight, letting Drew have the last word with both of them. So yeah, not much more I'm going to add. It's yours.
Overall thoughts, Didi Woodson. What were your overall thoughts on this penultimate Raw before WrestleMania Backlash tonight? Didi, are you there?
Okay, there we go. Yeah, it was pretty average. I could probably go anywhere between 6 and 7 on it. And the only reason I would teeter towards 7 is there was a lot of storyline progression in this, and that's something Raw's starting to get a little bit better about is pushing the storylines and helping, get things. They're starting to get things rolling and pushing the matches for the pay-per-view. I just hope, next week when we have the go home show that it's going to be, hopefully even better than this, so that we really have those final pushes to get people interested in each and every one of the matches. Yeah, we had some weird stuff. We had some not so great stuff, and we had some but like I said, we had really great chemistry with Riddle and Orton. Gulock and Garza. That was even though it was short, it was still good. And then Alexander and Benjamin. I'm not surprised that that team imploded. And I don't think Cedric's going to be getting back into the Hurt business like I think he thinks he's going to, because pretty much they're done with him. So, and Priest, of course, he always looks good when he has his matches. So yeah, some really good stuff here tonight. And finally having the tag team champions on the show and having them defend the titles. All I can say is it's about time they got them out there. Why they're there or weren't there, no telling. It could be medically, it could be anything. I'm hoping that it was a legit being out just for medical reasons and not for some of the crap that AJ was spilling at the beginning of the show. So yeah, Not much more I'm going to add. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to push it a little closer to 7 because of the fact that it was a lot more storyline than the quality of the matches weren't as great as what the storylines were. So the storylines definitely went out tonight on Raw. So it's yours. I'll see you guys Friday.
All right, Dee, we'll see you then. 6.5 to 7 for me. I definitely agree with Dee Dee's sentiments. This week's show was an improvement over the last 3 weeks of post-Mania content. The Eva Marie announcement, it will ruffle some feathers, obviously, especially those of us in the IWC, no doubt about that. But overall, there were some signs of change. I mean, we got the oddball team of Randy Orton and Riddle last week. They reintroduced Eva Marie with a very sexy vignette. As weird as it was, it looks like Angel Garza might be getting a push. Mansoor, a welcome new addition. Humberto Carrillo feels like he matters for the first time in ages. Miz and Morrison seem to have issues. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin split up. Raw is still in a rough place, but at least they seem to be shaking things up to some extent. So I'm definitely with Dee Dee's sentiments on this one. 6.5 to 7 out of 10 for me. Still awaiting the presence of a Bullock here. I don't know what happened. Hopefully, we'll get some thoughts from him soon enough. But right now, while we have a moment, let's get into my latest Tony's take here, and from this past week's edition of Impact Wrestling, and this was the fallout from the Rebellion pay-per-view, which was a big hit. Started it off with an Under Siege qualifier match. Scott D'Amore called out the entire roster, and they surrounded the ring, and D'Amore announces that there will be a six-way number one contenders match at the Under Siege event, or the Impact Plus special on the 15th of this month. There will be a six-pack challenge, if you will. Number one contenders. And whoever wins that match at Under Siege will get the first shot at Kenny Omega and the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. And we had, and Scott D'Amore announces that we're going to have several qualifying matches over the next couple of weeks. And we had the first of those qualifying matches. We had Jake Something versus Chris Bay, the returning Chris Bay. And Chris Bay wins the match, 3.25 stars. Really good opener with nice energy and flow. Some really nice impactful moves from both men, but Jake Something takes yet another loss. Bay looks great in his return. Then we had Sam Beal. They fed him, of course, to W. Morrissey, a.k.a. Big Cass. And Morrissey squashed him. It was a squash, as it should be. And I'm interested to see where they go with him, but he looks fantastic. The returning Taylor Wilde, her first match in an Impact ring in about a decade or so. She went up against Kimberly, and Taylor Wilde wins the match, 2.75 stars. Pretty good match with Taylor looking great in her return. Her athleticism and pace fit with the current roster, especially champion Deonna Purrazzo. So she cleared one hurdle. This upcoming week, she'll try to clear the other hurdle, the other member of Team Virtuosa, and that is Susan. They will go one-on-one on Thursday night. Return match for the X Division Championship. Josh Alexander defending against the challenger and former champion Ace Austin. Josh Alexander wins the match. This was the fight of the night, 3.5 stars. Very good match as always from these guys. I mean, I could watch Josh Alexander in X Division matches every day of my life. But then again, the same can be said about Ace Austin. The X Division. A resurgence of the X Division, taking me back to the glory days, back when this company first started, way back when. Second Under Siege qualifier, Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, return match from Rebellion. Matt Cardona wins the match. 2.5 stars. Match was all right with nothing very memorable, but strong work throughout. Cardona's selling and the psychology of Myers shined as it did at Rebellion. Cardona moving on should be interesting as this is his biggest shot so far in Impact. Biggest win so far could lead to an even bigger win on the 15th. Then we had a vignette. El Phantasmo from New Japan Pro Wrestling. MF also told me that he was in AAA as well. It's a shame he couldn't be with us tonight. I really would have loved to have gotten his thoughts on this, but hopefully next week he'll be back with us and we'll get a thought from him on that. Then the next Under Siege qualifier, which I believe served as the main event of the evening, it was Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards. The fight gets thrown out because of Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. They got involved, went after both guys. Quality match, but incomplete, and really only served for Omega's appearance and beatdown. So this is obviously an NA. 6 3/4 to 7 out of 10. Very good show with several surprises and returns. El Phantasmo being confirmed for next week is exciting. And Chris Bay and Taylor Wilde look fantastic in their returns. The Under Siege event is fresh as well. But Kenny Omega's appearance fell flat and was hyped for nothing. The ongoing storyline through the night was based on him showing up, and we received 2 minutes of the champion beating everyone down and ruining the main event. I suppose it adds some heat, but Omega could have been a bit more involved. But if you're pressed for time, also check out the X Division title match. So that's all there is to say there. 6 3/4 to 7 out of 10 for me on that show. So coming up this week, I remember they announced it earlier today. I'm just going to try to get the lineup for you all real quick. Let me see here. Bear with me for a moment here. I do know that Taylor Wilde will be going one-on-one with Susan, and frankly, I would not at all be surprised if Taylor goes over, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing her and Deonna Purrazzo go at it for the Knockouts Championship at the Under Siege event. And but I know there's going to be more qualifying matches coming up. Just give me 1 second here. All right, I think we have something here. All right. All right. Finally got it here. I apologize for the delay. We will see one half of the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Rachel Ellering. She'll go one-on-one with one half of the former Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Fire and Flavor. That's Kiera Hogan. Taylor Wilde versus Susan. We will see the Impact Wrestling debut of El Phantasmo. In an Under Siege qualifying match, it'll be Trey Miguel against Rohit Raju. Also in an Under Siege qualifier, Rhino versus Chris Sabin. And in the other one, it'll be Moose versus James Storm. That's also a qualifying match. And then Doc Gallows will square off against one half of the Impact World Tag Team Champions, Juice Robinson. That all goes down Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Access TV. Or for those of you who may not have it, Twitch. For those of you who don't have Access TV, you can also catch it on the Twitch. That'll be all on Thursday night. So be sure to tune into that. Looks like it's going to be a good show. I got a good feeling about it. And then one last order of business this evening, and that is the review of 205 Live. We started it off with Jake Atlas and Austin Green against the Bollywood Boys. Jake Atlas and Austin and August Gray in 6 minutes and 21 seconds. 2-star match. weird one here. As it started slow with a short heat segment and then kind of rushed to a finish. And then we had Everrise against Tony Nese and Aria Davari. And Everrise wins the match in 12 minutes. All right. Now, I know I always rip on Everrise, and I still think they're a bunch of ham and eggers, but I'm going to tell you what here. This was great. And it actually kept getting better and better as the match built to the finish. Matt Martell looked great as he survived a beating, and Everrise getting the win was the right call here, believe it or not. Wonderful stuff, and easily the best match from Everrise, and one of the best matches that I've seen in quite a while. 3.5 stars. Credit where credit is due. 7.5 out of 10. Tag main event was great and made this a good show after a suspect start with the opening tag. I like they kept the opener a little short to give more time than the main event, and they delivered. Props to Everrise as they stepped up their game tonight and deserved both the win and chance to show what they can do. Definitely check that match out. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Very impressive indeed. So that being said, that is going to put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. I don't know what happened to Michael Bullock there. I was hoping that we could have gotten some thoughts on him, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case here this evening. So with that, let's run down the table for what we got upcoming this week. We'll be back with you on Wednesday night for another all-new edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem. We'll be over on MF's channel with Braves Fan 95. I'm sure we'll have MF back with us, and huge. I mean, NXT, Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, they will be challenging Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, and they will meet in a street fight. Isaiah Swerve Scott will meet Leon Ruff in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Also just added, Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher will be squaring off against the Grizzled Young Veterans. That's got Be a Man Fight written all over it. And then from there, we also have the return of Finn Balor. Finn Balor will make his return to NXT for the first time since losing the NXT Championship to Karrion Kross last month on the second night of Takeover, Stand and Deliver. And then, of course, all eyes will be on AEW Dynamite, the most anticipated match in AEW history, Blood and Guts. The Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle. Of course, there are other things on that show. Kenny Omega and MT Nakazawa will be squaring off against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Cody Rhodes against QT Marshall. There's also going to be a 4-way tag team title eliminator match. And we'll also have Dr. Britt Baker in action. But all eyes, of course, will be on the Blood and Guts match. There is no question about that. And then Thursday, we have Strictly Sports. We're back with Strictly Sports on Thursday night after a 1-week hiatus. And it will be one of our biggest shows of the year, our annual NFL Draft recap show. Team by team grades for all the teams based on their picks. And then Friday night, we got the Cerebral Smack Talk. MF will have that, Braves Fan 95. As we will run down Friday Night Smackdown, which will be a throwback show. It's going to be Throwback Smackdown. Basically, it's going to be an old school show. We do know one match. Seth Rollins will go up against Cesaro in a WrestleMania return match. That's got potential to be something really good. And then from there we go right back here next week as we will start WrestleMania Backlash week starting next week. So with that being said, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. Like I said, we'll be back with you on Wednesday night, and And until Wednesday night from Wednesday Night Mayhem, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, and of course, always in forever, the Yankee Messiah 401, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.